is what happened today. Basically, so Honda, you guys might know Honda. It's the fat guy from Street Fighter. Apparently really did not like a joke that a person on Team Liquid made, right? So Honda has dropped, this is really funny for me to see this because I've said, you know, I've been saying this was gonna happen many times. I've said over and over and over again, nobody wanted to listen. People said that I was a bad person for suggesting it, but I know this, I know the solution to this problem. I know the solution, but we'll talk about that after we talk about what the problem is. So basically, there is something that is referred to, this is in advertising, and like, I'm just gonna use this term, blue chip brands. These are brands that have a, you know, pristine reputation, they have a clean product, and they don't have any controversies, right? We're not talking about super male vitality. We're not talking about the UFC. We're talking about places like Progressive, places like Ford Motors, Honda, for an example. Let me think, Samsung, like just super generic, like the most basic milquetoast, white bread fucking companies that you could possibly have, right? Lay's potato chips, yes, exactly. Apple, right? IBM. And so, yeah, super basic, super corpo brands. Honda has dropped Team Liquid after a controversial tweet about Japan from Liquid Diaz. I don't know who this is. Honda confirmed that a member posted an inappropriate message. They took the matter seriously. They lodged severe protest. The team apologized, implemented measures. After much consideration, AHM has decided to terminate its sponsorship. So Honda proudly partners with organizations whose dreams, standards, and passion match our own. So Honda was partnered with Team Liquid, mentioned that, you know, Team Liquid was, you know, getting paid money by Honda. So this guy posted, I know this might sound pretty bad, but he posted a meme of a nuclear bomb. Now, for a little bit of context, Honda is a company that comes from Japan. Now, where did this picture come from? Well, that was a pretty bad time for them, right? They had a that was a bad year for Japan, okay? That was a really bad year for Japan. Now, Honda didn't even exist back then, but the guy that made Honda made a company that I think helped the Japanese in World War II, right? And so there's a little bit of hypocrisy here because, I mean, like, and also, like, the nuclear bomb, right? I mean, this is a, oh, wow, it's really bad. But imperialist Japan, these were not necessarily, you know, this wasn't the Teletubbies, let's just say that, right? And I'm not a historian, but from what I've read, it certainly seemed nice. And so anyway, yeah, for the Empire, right? And so not nice guys. Yeah, that's for the assholes. And so the nuke made Honda, I ain't gonna say that. That's crazy. And so just like VW and the Germans, exactly. And so anyway, so this guy made a joke about a nuclear bomb, and Honda terminated the entire partnership for the complete team. And I think, gentlemen, I think this needs to start happening more. I think we need accelerationism, because this is what the future is. I said more examples of blue chip brands being an unstable form of sponsorship. Of esports, if esports and programming wants to rely on outside money, they should embrace porn, gambling, and alcohol sponsors. They don't leave after silly controversies for meaningless Twitter noise. This is the future. The future is getting children to gamble with cryptocurrency on their mom's credit card and selling porn. That is the future. That's it. That's right. And if you want esports to survive, now the only way that esports can survive without this is with the FGC, the fighting game community. That is a totally different situation. Now, why is it a totally different situation? It's simple. It's because you're only paying one guy. If Charlie wants to pay some guy to go to a tournament, you know, for Moist Esports, he just does it. It's fucking like 20 grand and that's it. It's done. And so anyway, that's it. New Trump tweet, we're going to get around that. But like, or anybody else, right? If any of these other people, like, this is why we even thought about sponsoring people in the FTC. Because, or even I did. I thought about doing my own thing. But I just, honestly, I've got so many things going on right now. Like, what the fuck do I need another fucking thing for, right? And so anyway, yeah, Bald Esports, right? The FGC is the best community. Well, the reason why the FGC is the best community. So do you want to know the real reason why? One of the big reasons is because most of the big fighting games don't really play a huge role in setting up tournaments. That's a big reason. So it is completely grassroots. It's not like, for example, the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is top down. It's like Bobby Kotick saying, listen, you're going to have team names and city names for esports teams. It's going to be called the Cincinnati Cleaners, and it's going to be 5 dudes that live in Korea. What? The Massachusetts Mavericks. And it's, wait, 3 guys from Belgium, a German, and a Spanish guy? Wait, what? But I thought it said Massachusetts. What the hell is this? And so anyway, yeah. And I could go on, right? But I think my point is made, right? I think it's made. And so anyway, this is it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so the reason why the FGC is different is that the FGC is not built on a throne of lies. Esports and the entire economy around esports is built around thank you for 25 gifted subs. Gentlemen, I've seen a lot of people gifting subs today. I really appreciate it. But keep in mind, I'm completely financially stable, and if you want to spend your money on anything else, go ahead and do it. I appreciate the money, but never feel like you have to support the stream. Just being here is more than enough for me, okay? So keep that in mind. Yeah, I always appreciate it, but that's it. And so just keep that in mind. Yeah, as people, yeah, I'm totally fine. Don't worry about me. And so I always take Twitch Primes, but that's because Jeff Bezos, of anybody who doesn't need the money, there's 1 or 2 people in the world that need the money less than I do. He's one of them, okay? And so I can take a Twitch Prime, but that's it. Anyway, my point is, besides that, let me go back. What was I even thinking besides this? I got distracted. So the FGC, so esports is built up by venture capitalism. Now, I tried to talk to some of these people. I did. And now, finally, because in 2014, a lot of the guys my age, we were like 23, 24. Who the fuck cares what we think? Well, now we're in our 30s. And so now a lot of the guys that I talk to that work at these different VC firms, they understand that esports is a money pit. They understand the longitudinal reality of this. But you had the fucking boomers and these Gen X people that were making decisions for fucking venture capitalists and money, investing like $50 million into something, thinking that they're going to turn it into the NBA. Well, it turns out it's not. And also, this is another really big component. I didn't even think of this until I brought it up. Harry Halls, thanks a lot for the 5 subs. I appreciate that. So another really big component is that America has such an endemic sports culture by itself that there's no reason for them to add in anything else besides that. NBA of losing money? Yeah, but they make a lot more money than fucking, like some Overwatch League does, right? Let's be honest, right? And so anyway, and so what I'm trying to get at is that basically the entire value of esports and the economy of esports has been artificially inflated higher than the fucking 2007 housing bubble or the dot-com bubble. Like it's popping and it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And this is also contextualized inside of Western audiences because Chinese audiences, Korean audiences, they're on board with this. You're a professional player for CSGO, you go to Brazil, you're a fucking celebrity. You're a professional player for CSGO, you go to Chicago, you get robbed. That's just the way it is. And so the fact is, nobody gives a fuck about this over here in America, and they don't care about it that much over in Europe either. And so the fact is that, like, a lot of this stuff, the real gang shit, no, I'm being honest, right? Am I wrong? And so anyway, esports is it's built on a throne of lies. It's built on a throne of lies, misplaced optimism, fucking, in my opinion, ignorance, and, you know, basically greed. And so now the throne that was built in 2010 is now finally starting to crumble. Now, how do you replace that throne? You replace it with porn, cryptocurrency, and gambling, because those are the only sponsors. Because the fact is that if you have to sanitize your event enough to where big brands want to sponsor it, you have an event that's not fun to watch. Nobody wants to watch an event where everybody says, oh, good game. They want to watch an event like Idra back in the 2010 StarCraft 2 days, where he's talking shit in game, he's quitting out of games in mid-match, in the middle of the fucking stage. We want to see fights on stream. We want to see Hungrybox throwing a chair into the crowd. What was it? Somebody threw a lobster at Hungrybox and then he started screaming about it. That's the real content, okay? That's real esports. That's what people care about. And by the way, if you think I'm wrong, then explain the UFC. The best fucking fight ever was whenever fucking Khabib beat the fuck out of Conor McGregor. As soon as he beats the fuck out of Conor McGregor, he immediately goes, all right, another one, climbs over the fucking octagon and starts trying to beat up his team. Immediately, just instantaneously. And Joe Rogan was there. Oh, well, this is such a bad... Shut up, Joe. You know this was a good day. This was such a good day. Everybody knows this was a good day. What a great day. What a great day for What a great day for UFC. Yeah, it was majestic. It was amazing. And so anyway, and Conor McGregor, he's a huge asshole. Khabib is like, I like Khabib more than Conor McGregor. I like Conor McGregor. He's all right. Well, after the rape stuff, maybe I can't say I like Conor McGregor anymore. But, like, you know, back then I thought he was an all right guy. But anyway, I like Khabib more, I'll tell you that. And so this happens, and it was like, it's the perfect fucking story, right? And so anyway, Conor got humbled. He did, and that's what he deserved. And the point is, though, is that people, that's what guys, and also, who watches UFC? You want to know who watches UFC? I do, you do. Like, and by you, I mean everybody in the chat, because it's all men between the ages of 18 and 40. Actually, 18 and 60 with the UFC. Those are the people that watch UFC. Okay? Girls aren't watching this shit. Girls are not tuning in to watching the Counter-Strike finals. Girls, if they use a voice chat in CSGO, they get, both teams are like, hold up, guys, wait a minute.
Where there is evil in
I think we have an imposter.
I will be there.
And they kick her out of the game. So, no, girls don't watch this shit. It's all guys. It's all guys. You go to the FGC, you watch one of these Smash tournaments, it's a bunch of sweaty dudes. And so anyway, you try to make this content and you try to make this appeal to this, you know, fucking broad audience. It doesn't exist. It doesn't fucking exist, bro. Like, it's not there. And so, yeah, I know a girl watches UFC too, just to see a dude's muscles. Yeah, sure. Right? I mean, that's... There are people that watch, you know, like women's basketball, but because they think that the women are attractive. It's like, oh wow, I wonder why women's pole vaulting is so popular on YouTube.
Let's go.
It must be for the athleticism, right? That must be it. Yeah, the women's long jump, exactly. And so anyway, beach volleyball, well, I was just using basketball as a more abstract example, but sure. But anyway, here's the point, right? Is that Honda wants to have a sanitized brand that, you know, is just completely flaccid, boring, and is simply a vehicle for marketing. That's all they want. The fact is that making a joke about a nuclear bomb and losing the sponsorship for the entire fucking, the entire brand. And he's going, I want to sincerely apologize. I made a big mistake using the gift. Shut up, you pussy. Nobody cares about this. It doesn't matter. Like, nobody thinks it's a mistake. You don't think it's a mistake. Nobody at fucking Liquid thinks it's a mistake. Let's just call this out for what it is. It's Honda being fucking retarded. It's some retard over at Honda that got offended by this, and they canceled the partnership. No, I'm not gonna. What are you pretending for? Like, and also, by the way, you like Team Liquid sponsors a WoW guild. Do you really think that none of those WoW players have ever said or done anything that bad? What do you think the odds of that
My
are?
strength has increased.
What do you think the odds? Maybe there might just be a little bit of a possibility, right? What's all this crying about? It's crying about a nuclear bomb gift, right? Honda was waiting to quit and looking for an opportunity? Yeah, I think so. And so anyway, nuke means Japan nukes your career. Yeah, I guess so, right? And so, anyway, nobody, you don't care about this. You know you don't care about this. Everybody knows you don't care about this. I think the world is tired of these corpo, fake, bullshit apologies from people that it's obvious you don't give a fuck. You don't care. Like, nobody cares about this. Like, just stop pretending. It's bad for, and also here's the other thing too. It's bad for your brand. It's bad for you as a content creator to be out here faking it as if you think tweeting a gif about a nuclear bomb is a big mistake. No, it's not. No, it's not, you retard. You know that. Everybody knows that. It's ridiculous. And so anyway, yeah, they lost a huge sponsorship though. Yeah, and they should have never had it. That's what I'm saying. You should have never tried to court these brands. Should have never tried to do it. I think the future of esports, porn, gambling, and alcohol, and cryptocurrency. That is the future of esports. If you want to make a esports brand, you have to do these things. And if you don't, I want to see your balance sheets, because if you tell me you're not operating at a loss, I'm going to say you're lying. That's it. It's everything you despised 3 years ago.
Can I have damage boss?
I still don't want... I never despised porn. But that being said, I don't gamble, I don't drink alcohol, and I don't really invest in cryptocurrency. So this isn't something that I do, but I like, so here's an example. I think that we should probably look for other forms of, you know, like power besides oil, right? But I own a car that uses oil and it uses gas, or sorry, gasoline, I mean. And the reason why is because that's just the way it is. That's the way it is. Now, you can say that, you know, oh, well, you know, you should have principles about this. But yeah, you can have principles, or you could have a company. You could have either one, so you can decide. But if these people want to have a company, they can't afford principles. That's all there is to it. So yeah, but would you say porn is bad for society overall? I don't care about this. I don't care about this conversation. It's so abstract, and there's like 50 other things I want to talk about today. I don't even want to get into it. But anyway, so these companies need to realize that if you want to exist in the online space, you have to find companies that understand the online space. If they do not understand the online space, you will not have a good partnership, because they are entering into it without full understanding, and you are entering into it without full understanding. That is the problem. That is what it is. And so anyway, talk to Dana White. Maybe I will talk to Dana White. We'll see what happens. But Chrono Odyssey next month. I saw it. I'm going to look at it. It's on the list. You don't have to remind me. And so Riot has become a partner with Coinbase recently. Is that true? Let me see. Riot, Coinbase. May 6th. Coinbase partners with Riot Games across Global League and Valve. I'm telling you, bro, like, the guys over at Riot, they're smart. I found that let me think. I'm trying to think, because, like, I signed an NDA, right? I did not play the MMO. I did not. I did not play the MMO. I did not even see an image of the MMO. Let me say this. I was as honest as possible with them. And basically, they were like, yeah, thanks. Yep. Straight up. To some of the highest people in the company. Yes, straight up. And that was it. Literally no problems. These guys are smart. They know what's going on. Yeah. And they've come. Yes, everything is good. They heard you. Yes. And that's it. They were high, all right, and missing the point. And so anyway, that's the right amount. I absolutely did not. But the point is that they know where the future is, right? That's it. You still haven't watched Arcane, have you? I watched a little bit more of it, okay? To be fair, I did. And so yeah, I'm watching a YouTube video where you got a Fansly ad on Twitch, right? No, that was when Cutie Cinderella used Fansly as an advertiser for the streamer games, for the streamer awards, and then people complained about it afterwards. And you know, I'm a big supporter of that kind of stuff, right? I think that, you know, adult content and things like this, I don't like the idea that the internet needs to be sanitized for children. I think that I think parents need to exercise proper discretion, and instead of all adults kind of collaborating together to sanitize and protect children from the internet, I think that there needs to be rules that keep children off the internet, and there also need to be parents that prepare children for the real world, which is in fact many times the internet. And so that's it. I don't care, like, oh wow, there could be a kid watching this. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. You think this is the first time? Bro, this kid's probably watched an ISIS execution, and you're worried that he's seeing an ad for Fansly? I don't give a fuck, and neither do you. You just complain and complain. You don't care. You know you don't care. I know you don't care. Nobody cares. It's all a fucking joke. And so anyway, true and real, yes, I'm being honest. The internet should be 18 plus. The internet should be 18 plus. That's a fact, except for places that are curated explicitly for children, like YouTube Kids, for example. And so anyway, Team Liquid, I think, and a lot of these esports organizations, I think this is only going to get worse. And I have an offer for Honda, okay? It's a nuclear offer.
I am at your service.
I'll only offer it twice. If you guys need help with any form of figuring out how to build your online brand or understanding any degree of the internet and where to invest your money, I will give you insight. Just hit me up. Just DM me. You know, like you know where to find me, right? I mean, like, it's easy. And so just text me and just let me know. And I will do it for a fraction of the amount of money that you could figure out a consulting fee to do this for, and I will outperform any fucking agency.
The cosmos heals you.
And if I don't pay me. So, if you guys want to have an idea how this works, I'll let you know. If you don't, keep doing what you're doing. It's working great, right, guys? 72% loss of money. Haha. Wow, good job. Keep it up. Yeah, keep it up. And so anyway, and will my mattress be free? Yeah, I don't know. And so that's it. And yeah, and this goes for any company, right? If they want help with, you know, figuring out a marketing plan or anything like that, a lot of these companies, and the reason why I do this is that I view it as planting flowers to eventually one day have a garden. Is that, and not for me, but for everybody. The fact is that a lot of these marketing companies. So do you remember whenever I was criticizing? Where was it? Oh fuck. Where was the thing? No, this isn't it. I've had a lot of these. This is the Twitch to OnlyFans. Yeah, a lot of these, I don't remember a lot. Yeah, okay, so, oh, this was a good day. Remember this? This was what a good day for me this was. And anyway, did I save this photo? I'm gonna save this. Winning, okay, yeah, we're gonna save this right here. I don't want to miss that. And anyway, so what was I thinking about besides that? I got distracted. And crazy pulls, it's normal, right? And anyway, fuck, where was I going
so much
with this?
to do.
I totally got distracted. What was I talking about? Did you even build her? Yeah, she's level 90. I cleared Tower of Adversity with 30 out of 30 crystals. I did the entire thing. I even did the secondary thing as well. I did all of that. And yeah, I cleared the entire thing. And so yeah, as a matter of fact, if you're curious. And did you get your Adderall today? No, I haven't. Making jokes, right? And so anyway, building the garden. So a lot of advertising agencies right now are full of a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing and they don't understand the space. And I can prove it to you. Do you want to know how I can prove it? It's because if they did understand the space, they'd be doing what I was doing and making 20 times their salary. They don't understand the space. They don't know what the hell they're doing. That's it. So if you want to have it get done by a person that knows how to do it, rather than a bunch of morons that have been, you know, like these people have been around for a long time. Yeah, that's the problem. And so the issue right now is that advertising and the amount of sponsorships and streaming right now. I'm gonna make a graph, okay? This is a graph of how streaming advertising. This is sponsorship, and this is time. Okay, does this look like a good graph? Does this look like a good time for you? I feel like it's kind of a bad time for you, right? I would say kind of a bad, not a good graph. Nobody likes this graph. Yeah, so the line, as you can see, oh, actually some people might be confused. Here, let me make it a little bit easier to understand.
Born again!
Now do you see the problem? Yeah, big issue, okay? And so anyway, red is bad, exactly. And so way better, yeah, now people are starting to pick up on it. And so the problem is that advertising is basically dying on the internet because, and especially with streaming, is because streamers are terrible salesmen. That's the reason why. And the people that are running it, the agencies that are running it, are totally full of shit. Like, I'll give you an example, right? And I don't want to say full of shit entirely, right? For legal reasons, by the way. Does anybody really think that the Progressive show that they did with Austin Show and all of them had 100,000 viewers?
No matter the cost.
Well, let me tell you something. Progressive probably thinks that. And that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem way later on down the line when somebody has to explain what the conversion ratio is and why it was such an astronomically lower ratio, because it was built on something that was not entirely authentic. That's the reason. And they all they have to do is DM me. Just hit me up on Discord. Just say, hey, it's me, it's me, the company. And I'll just be like, oh, okay, all right, well, let's get this done, right? That's part of the funnels problem? It is. It's the funnels problem. It is. It's because most streamers are rich kids. Most rich kids are boring and have no personality. I don't know. I mean, like, I know plenty of, like, that's, in my personal experience, that is sometimes true, but it is not always true. And so anyway, yeah, it is, and it's, I think it really depends on the person, right? And so, it's like, yeah, basically, right? It's kind of true. I don't know about rich, but they're boring. Sometimes, right? It really depends. There are plenty of poor people that are boring too, okay? That's really what I'm getting at. Name 50? Name 50 people. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, so anyway, standard deviation. Yeah, broke dude cope. Yeah, I think that's probably true too. So, yeah, hey, it's me, the company. Can I have $50,000? No, you'd be paying me, right? So it'd be different. And so anyway, this is what happened, right? Is that Honda dropped these guys, and I think that this is only going to keep happening as companies realize that the investment into esports and these online brands are delivering a much lower rate of return. And also it's because I can't speak for Team Liquid, so again, for legal reasons, I'm not speaking in terms of them specifically, but I do know that there are instances of these companies that artificially misrepresent their data in a way that is deliberately, like, it's kind of like, for example, you worked on a group project in 11th grade, and then you put on your resume that you were a team building leader and you were a manager. It's like, yeah, that's true, but you were managing a science project for a volcano, right? And so that's a big issue. And again, if they want me to look at this, I can do this because I understand it. I know every scam, I know every trick, I know every exploit, I know every way you can break the rules. And you know, again, I've got nothing to gain from this anymore, right? I've already done everything, and so if you if you want to know, just let me know. That's it. I manage RBG team, therefore I can manage anything. Yes, clearly. That's against the law, brother. You can't deceive shareholders. Jesus Christ, you can't deceive shareholders. Of course you can. You can deceive them, but you cannot lie to them. So, for example, whenever Ubisoft says net bookings for players instead of sales, that's not lying, but it's deceiving. Guys, you have to, we're changing the vocabulary to make it more abstract so we can cast a wider net so it sounds like we know what we're doing. Guys, lying is, if there's anything in life I'm good at, it's not video games, it's lying. It's lying and tricking people into things that they shouldn't believe. That's the only thing. Every time, and this is always a little game I would play with myself whenever I was a kid. And I would say anytime I wanted to do something in our guild that would be in my best interest, but not in everybody else's best interest, my challenge would be that I would put it to a vote. And I would convince people to vote against themselves. And it would work. Here's the funny thing. Every single time. Every single time. And so that's it. People are stupid. Yeah, it's so easy to do. And so anyway, yeah, you play with yourself. Yes, absolutely. Even still the psyop by Road Forward? No, I don't need the psyop anymore. Whenever I made my YouTube channel, my original Asmongold YouTube channel, that was the end of the lies. Like, I made all my videos about how to manipulate people into, like, joining your guild, how to loot councils, scam people, how to ninja loot stuff. Like, I did all of it. And it was because I'm like, all right, I had my fun. This is over. I'm going to go, you know, I'm going to be a good boy now, right? And so, did anyone ever call you out on your voting bullshit? They did. One time somebody called me out on their voting bullshit. So this is what I did. Is that, so they actually were right, but they voted against me, but they said that they didn't vote. So I had admin of the website, and I posted the screenshot that showed that they voted against me. And because I could prove them a liar, it totally destroyed all of their credibility. Nobody took their argument seriously, which was a valid argument, and the vote still went through and I won.
The way it extends, it reminds me of the tentacles of the most ferocious creatures of the deep. I got more arms than I do, but hopefully one will be enough.
That shit in Olympus? Yeah, it's yeah. And by the way, and there are a lot of people that try and do this. You want to know another person that does this? I'm gonna call him out right now. I'm gonna let him know. Give me a minute.
Pronunciation is so hard for surface dwellers.
When AQ40 came out, S-Fan straight up goes.
I have encountered a real Hydra in the deep.
I think that the best idea is for me to get all the tier 2.5 first. That way, we don't have to worry about me getting it.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
This aunt's magic is as old as the sea. Denizens of the deep.
That shit, bro, like...
Once I'm vulnerable.
That was so... Everyone did that. Yeah, and so, that's what it was. The pinnacle of logic. And hey, he was the Scarab Grand Marshal. He can do whatever the hell he wants. And so, yeah, classic paladin, exactly. And so, yeah, you're doing yourself, yeah, you're trying to help them out. And so, anyway, this is, so I know the way that these companies operate. I know everything about this. So if any of these companies, you know, want any insight or whatever, you know, they just hit me up. I mean, I know a lot of people that are like, you know, a lot around, let's just say. They can hit me up if they want insight on, like, you know, is something a good idea or not. I'll tell you if it's a good idea or not, right? And so that's it. And anyway, let's go back. We'll look at the rest of these. And his DKP was fucked up after anyway. Yeah, his DKP was fucked up after. I don't know why. It's because he wouldn't need it until Nax. And then, who got the first Might of Menifil in that Spanish guild? Who was it?
I need assistance.
My battle has only just begun.
Who got it? That's fan. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? He got the Ashbringer too. Who would have guessed? You know, who would have guessed? That's just the way it is, right? And like, hey. you know, like he and I mean, you know, boys, right? And so, you know, great minds. And so that's the way it is. Ben is the best at looting. He really is.
It's called Apple in China. Capture of the world's greatest country. I've got this. You know, I'm not much of a reader. I was going to wait for the movie to come out, but honestly, like this is jaw-dropping. This book is jaw-dropping and so well researched. It's not a polemic. It's not hyperbole. It's the story of how China basically was built as a country. Is that?
Yeah, that sounds like I would say that sometimes it sounds totally unreasonable, and I get that, right? And yet, like, what happened is, like, I came across some internal documents after speaking to 200 people, and I figured out that Apple was investing, by 2015, $55 billion a year into China. So this is mostly like they spend loads of money, billions of dollars, on machinery that they put on on production lines that are sort of orchestrated by Apple but not owned by them.
So they're building the machinery, but they're outsourcing that. They're hiring companies to build.
Like it's like outsourcing is the word, yet something so
they own the means of production.
They own so I compare it to like the way Uber is the largest taxi provider in the world without owning any cars. It's the same thing for manufacturing. So none of the factories are owned by Apple, and yet they have like maniacal control of machinery in those factories. Right. And so then they're doing like I quote someone saying we treat the workers like our arms and legs, and you do this, you do that. And the number of people they've trained like that is 28 million, so larger than the labor force of California since 2008. And the number of billions of dollars they spend on machinery is, you know, $14 billion I think is each year. So some of that's public, and other this material.
So these documents, the numbers seem fantastical.
And well, they do and they don't, right? So 55 billion is
a year.
55 billion is per year. That's the investment. A lot of that is training costs for the employees in China, and the number of employees, like per Tim Cook's public estimate, right, is 3 million people are assembling iPhones and other Mac products in China.
These are just low-level, like, it's a million people.
Lots of unskilled jobs, the ones that Howard Lutnick wants to bring back to America.
Yes.
Yep. And lots of PhDs at Foxconn.
Right.
Really sophisticated.
Right.
But my point is, like, lots of times people think there's great vocational training in China. The vocational school in China is Apple.
They've trained all these workers.
Yes, they've done a huge job. So let me just put the 55 billion in context.
Please.
I could not find any corporate equivalent for how much someone is investing in another country. So I had to go to government efforts. So you look at something like the CHIPS Act, right? Biden's flagship plan is to bring chip fabrication back to America. That's 53 billion over 4 years. Right? Another way of saying that Apple is investing what the Commerce Secretary called a once-in-a-generation investment in America. So that's nuts. And then you go back to the Marshall Plan, and you're thinking, okay, so maybe it's like half of the Marshall Plan, something like that. Like, that's going to be crazy. People are going to relate to that. So I take the Marshall Plan spending from 1948 to 1952, right? This is sort of like America saving Europe after the World War II.
Yeah.
And you convert it to 2015 dollars, and it's half the annual spending of what Apple's investing in China.
This is $130 billion in 16 countries.
16 countries versus one.
Versus one country.
Yeah, and it's not one, right? It's like
a new world is a-borning, a shuffling of the galactic guard, if you will. You could be
While covering Donald Trump's 2024 campaign, I started to notice all sorts of new people coming into the MAGA tent. But what baffled me most was the kids.
Trump cutting deeply into first-time voters and the youth vote.
This could be a political earthquake.
Trump credits a wave of Republican podcasters, social media influencers for the support that grew for him in the 2024 election.
Gen Z has turned right.
So is it actually hip to be Republican now?
Definitely a vibe. There's a lot of MAGA energy here. Yes,
We want to make a change for our generation. We don't want any more of the left-wing radical ideas. We want none of that.
What's the vibe like right now with young Republicans?
Oh, we are feeling victorious. I think it's going to go down the history books.
It's going to be up there with like the fall of Rome.
Maybe, you know, us guys, we do like talking about the Roman Empire.
Let's talk about the Roman Empire. like doing the salute too, apparently.
Oh, Jesus.
But are they true MAGA believers, or is this just a rebellious phase? To find out, I'm ditching the Trump rallies and meeting these young Americans on their turf. Outside the quad, outside the octagon, and outside my comfort zone on spring break. I know I'm ready. These kids are gonna love me. First up, I'm heading to Texas A&M, one of the largest universities in the U.S. with over 70,000 students. So, what are the issues pushing so many young people to the right?
I was very upset that the last administration let so many illegal immigrants into this country.
Whenever Biden got in, everything went up. Prices, gas, things. I got diesel went up like crazy.
For everybody, especially for me and my theology, still just being able to talk about Christ more often.
My dad's in the military, and I really like military. So, and all of my friends are going into it right now.
You're of military age. Donald Trump called you up to go invade Greenland.
Yeah, I guess we're invading Greenland.
Clearly, I need to better understand these kids. So, much like when I was in college, can somebody please tell me what's cool? I'm out of touch. The last time I was on a college campus, I was playing GoldenEye in the door.
Okay.
Do you know GoldenEye?
I don't know GoldenEye.
Is being conservative cool now?
I wouldn't say it's cool. I feel like it's just the right way to do things now.
It's not cool, it's just morally superior?
Absolutely.
Boondock Saints. You guys still put posters up? The Boondock Saints? What? The Boondock Saints? America first. Cool?
I think America first is cool, absolutely.
Gulf of America?
Cool. Gulf of America.
Boondock Saints 2?
What is, no, Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street is in.
Always been in.
Is it an in because we understand it's a satire, or we just like the financial crisis of it all?
I think it's just how much he actually was able to get away with.
So you see it as a hero story?
I think I see it as a hero story, yeah.
Good to know. So there was a lot I could teach them about American cinema, but who was there to engage them on their broader concerns for the country? Well, today, it was the right-wing group Turning Point USA, which claims to be the largest and fastest-growing youth organization in America. And people were pumped to get free shit. Did you get that hat here?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Charlie Kirk threw it to me.
He starts to throw them. Yeah, he throws them all. I told him to get on my shoulders and be like, yo, go ask for one.
Where'd you get it?
I snagged it from the one behind me.
You stole it from somebody. Oh, is that the most MAGA shit ever?
There was a little kid who was in the front row, and he was standing there wanting a hat, and Charlie Kirk went down and gave him a hat.
It's funny, when I went to college campuses, they would give free hats to you to sign up for a credit card. And then you get a cool free hat, and then 10 years later, a lifetime of debt. Then what? So who is this hat-tossing Pied Piper? Woo, kids to the right. MAGA darling, Charlie Kirk.
I love Charlie Kirk. I listen to him just about every single day.
Everybody knows Charlie Kirk is, but they don't know the name on his face.
And he's reaching millions with these pearls of wisdom.
White, college-indoctrinated women will ruin America if we let them. Those college degrees are meaningless unless you guys are literally scammed by people. I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
What makes Charlie Kirk so effective on a campus like that?
I just think it's all the
Mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
statistics that he has to back it up.
The moon haunts you!
He's consistent. He's like TikTok. I love TikTok. 3 months ago, I hate TikTok. So it's consistency, good work here and there. But even if Charlie Kirk doesn't seem to believe the things he says, for some students, he was the only one speaking to their concerns.
A couple of years ago, I just started finding more people because I got just so tired of just not being able to speak my mind. So I needed to find people that actually knew how to say things to a I'm forgetting the words, I'm sorry.
You needed somebody to be more articulate for you.
Yes, because you see me right now, I can't put words together. So,
you're looking for somebody to put words in your mouth.
Yes. Well, not like that exactly.
Well, that's what I was doing right there.
Yes.
What I'm talking about is what Charlie Kirk kind of does with that.
Yes, yes.
He puts the words in your mouth.
Yeah, making enough sense for me so I memorize what he says, then I can visually say it to it.
Exactly. Basically, his words become your own.
Yes, these thoughts become your own. It's awesome.
And some of those beautifully crafted words play great as clickbait online.
What is a woman? What is a woman?
It's not a trick question. What is a woman?
He always asks liberals, like, what is a woman?
Yeah, we literally saw like 5 or 10 minutes ago.
You got to see alive what is a woman.
Finally, he was like, all right, give me your definition. What is a woman?
How do you define what a woman is?
I I think it's just genetics. You know?
I go with like a woman is somebody who sues Donald Trump for sexual assault.
31-year-old Kirk and the billionaires who fund him are successfully influencing young minds and making those young minds skeptical of anyone else trying to influence young minds.
Beto O'Rourke has been to campus probably like 5 times, and I don't know why he's still coming here.
Feels like groomers.
Yes.
You have somebody like Beto O'Rourke, you have like an adult man come to a campus trying to groom somebody around his own political ideology.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
That shouldn't happen at all.
No, it shouldn't. No.
That's why it's refreshing to have somebody like Charlie Kirk come to campus and bring.
Hassan tells Mexican Asmongold fan that he would want him to perish.
Asmongold on top.
So let's step back for a moment and just visualize the setting. Someone who has followed Hassan for more than 3 years joined his chat and said Asmongold on top. Then Hassan instantly proceeded to do a TSA background check on the guy.
Who the fuck is this? Hassan, I'm a big fan. I love you. I love Hassan. And then he comes back to say Asmongold on top. He is not black. No, I think he is. Check his description. He's Mexican. Oh my lord.
Why do you even read these? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to yourself? Like, this is embarrassing.
Bro, Asmongold thinks dudes that look like you should perish.
I won't let that happen again.
Now I want to kill
30 seconds before you attack.
Oh, jeez. Oh, wow. Oh, God. What do you say? What do you do? Dudes that look like you. Yeah, I guess so. That's why I'm friends with a lot of dudes that look like him. You know what they say. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Another one of you, 14-year-old, pasty little skin, dumb motherfuckers, or shit dick dumb motherfuckers calls me little bro. Who do you think is more pathetic in this regard?
Who is it?
Under normal circumstances, if you were to show his content or commentary to like average people in your life, I think they would probably think less of you.
I've had more people come up to me. This is what's really sad. This is how wrong Hassan is. I recently went to an anime convention. I had a bunch of young girls coming up to me and saying, my mom and my dad watch your stream. Can I get a photo with you? They'll love it.
Bro, it's over. Just cut it off.
You want to know what real people would think if you went and you showed them terrorist propaganda like a Hezbollah recruitment video? They would think that, oh my God. Oh my God. Is today, like, you start showing somebody some fucking terrorist propaganda out of nowhere in a public space, a normal person.
Bro, Asmongold thinks dudes that look like you should perish.
Hassan is now the arbiter if Mexicans can like me or not.
I'll patch you up.
Feeling stronger already.
Frank's on full turret mode.
Over 425 illegal immigrants have been swept up. They've had ICE detainer orders on them. And yes, we are finding violent criminals, particularly gang members.
So as ICE activity across the country escalates, hundreds of gang members are getting arrested. But frighteningly, these gang members are being found in communities, living in apartments just steps away from where normal, law-abiding people are trying to go about their lives, without knowing that their neighbors are some of the worst people on the entire planet who are hiding in plain sight.
We're there as heavily armed agents use flashbangs to get inside, leading the suspect out in cuffs, loading him into a waiting patrol car.
Multiple agencies on the ground right now. The FBI, the DEA, the ATF. You can see the agents inside right now.
Armed agents seen through a window making another arrest.
Dramatic video showing U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents arresting 21-year-old Ander Cortez Mendez in Falls Church, Virginia on April 2nd.
The MS-13 is probably the most unique gang in that their purpose is to be the biggest, baddest gang in the world. With the MS-13, the violence is because they want to be known as the biggest gang and the most violent gang.
We were able to pick up one of the top 3 members of MS-13, and as you saw yesterday, the charges from the Department of Justice were dropped, so that person could be deported.
That's why you dropped it.
And get out of this country.
There is that likelihood that these families could be separated. There is consequences, and we're giving them time to leave these children with someone else.
So as ICE raids apartments in Virginia, they're also doing it in New York, picking up gang members. But what nobody's talking about is that if ICE doesn't raid apartments in multiple states at once, these gang members who've been hiding in our country for years are just gonna escape. Because these people have had 4 years to build and solidify criminal networks that run from the southern border all the way back to New York City, where Tren de Aragua members live openly, some of them in government-funded homeless shelters where they get everything for free. But if that wasn't a big enough challenge, ICE is also facing local resistance from people who warn these criminals when they see troops coming down the street. And while these activists warn criminals in the name of immigrants' rights, what they're really doing is making the country a more dangerous place for everyone, which is the opposite of what our president and ICE want to do by getting these people off the streets, possibly sending some to El Salvador's mega prison. Which brings us to the real reason these ICE raids of apartment buildings are so important. These criminals, they don't belong in apartments as free people. They belong in prison instead. And any neighborhood they've infested is in grave danger. Not only because these might be very dangerous individuals, in many cases these criminals are traffickers and they see the people around them as human capital which they can put to work and exploit to line their own pockets. Something they do off the backs of other people illegally living in America, and sometimes even newly arrived legal immigrants who oftentimes fled the same countries these criminals have already destroyed and could now be living next door to you or me until something like this takes place.
Multiple agencies on the ground right now. The FBI, the DEA, the ATF, you can see the agents inside right now. They tell us their target here in Northern Virginia, a Guatemalan man in the country illegally with a criminal record.
ICE has over 7 million active cases in this country right now. That's a lot of criminals who could be in your backyard or mine. And since they're living lives of crime, they import trouble to their very own neighborhood, which is a problem for everyone in this country. But as you're about to see, ICE is thankfully stepping in and putting a stop to this. For now.
And we are now going. I think it's an investigation today. A known member of the 18 gang.
We are there as heavily armed agents, guns drawn, use flashbangs to get inside. Leading the suspect out in cuffs, loading him into a waiting patrol car.
Look at where this guy was. They found him in an apartment building. Here he is coming out of the front door of a community that's got other people living in it too. This is incredibly dangerous. And this gang member was one of over 400 people arrested by ICE in Virginia. And we keep hearing from progressive advocates how sanctuary city laws and illegal immigration make communities safer and better. But this guy wasn't doing any of that. On top of that, we aren't just after one gang in America right now. We've got criminals from all over the world infesting our country. MS-13, Tren de Aragua, plus numerous cartel operatives connected to smuggling groups who are here checking up on those who owe them money. And the problem with all of these criminals is that once they get into our country, they do the exact same thing and they expand as quickly as possible.
That violence brought on by MS-13 has left a deep mark in Suffolk County on New York's Long Island.
It's extremely concerning.
Also concerning is where MS-13 gang members are looking for new recruits.
They're going into the schools and they're recruiting kids. They will try to recruit young gang members, and they will start to try to enforce those rules that we spoke about, at the earliest opportunity.
You know, the craziest thing about this is that whenever we think about illegal immigration, there's always people who say, oh, it's humane to let people come into the country illegally because you've got women, you've got children, but what about the children that go to these schools that are now infested with gang members who are trying to recruit them? How come we never hear about how the humane thing to do is to protect people that are living in this country just trying to go to school? Why do they have to worry about coming into contact with gang members? Why is that humane? We keep hearing about how closing the border's the wrong thing to do, but the reality is an open border brings criminals into our country. And they don't just target families and children inside of our country or at our schools. No, as you're about to see, they're also exploiting people who may not even be part of their family at all.
But amid this push, thorny questions emerge, as we see on the second raid of the morning. Armed agents seen through a window making another arrest. But also in the home, his 2 American children, and his brother, who authorities say is also undocumented, but has no known criminal record. That brother can now be deported too.
Okay, so ICE raids an apartment they find somebody who's a criminal. And who do they find in there? They find another man who's his brother, and they find 2 children. Where is the mother of these children? Also, this is very important too. That brother that has no criminal history, well, he illegally entered America and decided to live in the same home as a criminal. What's he doing there? Why has he chosen to live with his gang member brother instead of getting a home somewhere else and living a normal, peaceful life? Obviously, something doesn't add up here, and we all know that bad company corrupts good morals. And this man who entered the country illegally decided for some reason that his best bet was to live with his brother who he knew was a criminal. And although this is a textbook collateral arrest of someone who's committed the crime of entering the country illegally and maybe conspiring with the wrong people, advocates all across our country lose their minds when arrests like this take place.
There is that likelihood that these families could be separated. There is consequences, and we're giving him time to leave these children with someone else.
The Department of Homeland Security says they handle these situations involving children on a case-by-case basis. Today, Border Czar Tom Homan telling me the administration is looking to what he calls family residential centers as an option to keep families together, David.
So what's fascinating here is the narrative is put forth of, oh, what's gonna happen to this family? But the question that I want to know is, what was happening to them? Why do you have a gang member, his brother, and 2 children living in an apartment, and why couldn't those children be left with their mother when ICE came here and made this arrest? They showed up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Where's their mother? They may not be in touch with the other half of their family at all. That person might not even be in America, revealing that something has happened to separate this family before ICE even showed up. This is not a case of ICE arresting people and tearing a family apart, which is what we hear all the time when the topic of collateral arrests come up. But as you just saw, collateral arrests, that might actually be making these children safe. Not to mention everybody who lives in the apartments surrounding the one that was just raided. But taking down gang members in apartments, that's not how ICE wants to do business. Rather, agents are forced to do this when local sanctuary cities or progressive judges release criminals before ICE can pick them up. Something we're told makes sanctuary cities safer somehow than normal cities, but actually just puts everyone in danger.
That man right there, he's being searched. He has handcuffs on right now, and they're going to take them into their possession and process him for deportation.
The field office director told me it would be safer for officers and the community if Fairfax County Sheriff Stacy Kincaid honored ICE detainers and allowed ICE pickups in the jail.
I mean, that's the easiest, safest way for all of law enforcement. This kind of activity puts the entire community at risk.
So much for sanctuary city policies making communities safer. That's a lie if I've ever heard one. And here in New York, we get told that all the time. But a lot of these people, they've got prior criminal history, and it's known that they're wanted by ICE. And what happens? They get sent to jail, and ICE isn't allowed to come and remove them when they're already in handcuffs. They have to go and find them on the street when they're in an apartment or in a neighborhood and cuff them there and then bring them into custody. That just puts everybody at risk. And look at how heavily armed these guys are when they show up to take someone down. They're ready for that person to try and resist. After all, they're a gang member. They're extremely dangerous. They could be armed themselves. Everyone should be in favor of criminals like that being picked up when they're already in jail. But no, which is why it's so important that ICE is headed back to our jails, like this jail here in New York City. Rikers Island, ICE used to have an office there. They were kicked out about 10 years ago. And it says right here, this is about public safety and protecting all New Yorkers. But you know something? The advocates, they know of a group of New Yorkers who don't benefit from this. And that would be the gang members and criminals who are gonna get picked up. But we're living in our city illegally. Right now, part of our city council wants to sue the mayor for letting this happen. They're saying that it's the city council's responsibility to stand up for New Yorkers. Well, they're only standing up for gangsters, unfortunately, and they don't see it that way. They think they're making the world a better place for all of us.
The younger the recruit, the more extreme the violence.
The footprint of the MS-13 is always larger than those individuals who are actually charged. The gangs aren't as open and notorious, they're more clandestine, and it's a lot more difficult for.
You know, it's hard to see which New Yorkers benefit from laws that protect criminals. The only group I can think of are the criminals themselves. Everybody else suffers because of this. But what's worse is, as we saw earlier, these criminals, they're not only hiding in plain sight, living in apartments and in neighborhoods by the rest of us. They may be doing this as members of illegitimate family units, where children are used to help them hide out by giving them a cover story. All while they go about recruiting more and more members, revealing that law enforcement probably knows about a small fraction of the total criminals out there, right? And as you're about to see, this open borders situation has likely given us a permanent criminal underworld in America.
Law enforcement to figure out exactly who the memberships are and who they are affiliated with. I don't think you could ever eradicate the MS-13 or any gang.
It's terrible.
But the hope is to control them and to let the members know that if you commit a crime in a particular jurisdiction, you're going to be held responsible.
So law enforcement doesn't think they can ever get rid of these criminals. That's really depressing to hear, but frankly, how can we be surprised after what's been going on for the last 4 years in this country? To be honest with you, it looks like the only thing America can do to get serious about protecting the law-abiding and getting these thugs off the streets is to send more people to that El Salvador mega prison, which was designed for criminals like these gang members. But with sanctuary cities across the country advertising themselves as safe havens for the wrong people, the battle over this is just getting started. And it seems like the quote-unquote advocates want to take away the #1 tool ICE has to crack down on the growth of these gangs, and that would be collateral arrests.
We're out arresting numerous cases throughout the state that were all public safety cases. ICE only does targeted enforcement operations. But part of that targeted enforcement, if I'm going for an MS-13 gang member and I see someone next to him that has a big 13 on their face, I'm going to start asking that person questions.
So if you go to an apartment and you find a gang member who's covered in tattoos and he's got a criminal record and criminal history and everyone agrees that he should go, but he's surrounded by people who may also have access to the same weapons he's got access to, who may have similar tattoos, and they're running some kind of operation, it's important that if those people are also in the country illegally, that they also get arrested. We need collateral arrests to keep this country safe. There should be nothing controversial about that. And of course, ICE is going to have to ask questions to make sure that they're not taking innocent people into custody. But most of the time, criminals are living with other criminals. These are co-conspirators. And just because someone has no criminal history does not mean they're not out there committing crimes. On top of that, we keep hearing that some of these people, their only crimes that they've illegally entered the country. Well, you're not supposed to do that. And if I were to travel to another country and sneak in there, I shouldn't be surprised if they try and deport me. Yet there's this effort in America to make us all think that if somebody gets arrested and they weren't the only gang member ICE was looking for, that somehow an egregious violation of the entire country's rights has taken place, when the reality is criminals and their conspirators are being taken off the streets for a legitimate purpose. These are all people who never had permission to be here. ICE isn't arresting people with valid green cards or pulling legal immigrants off the street. That's not what's happening at all, yet we're made to think it is. We're made to think there's something wrong going on here, even though the people getting arrested aren't supposed to be here and are found with other criminals who ICE is looking for. What do you think about that? Are collateral arrests a good thing? Are they a bad thing? If a gang member is found in an apartment building and he's surrounded by other people, are those people up to something? Should ICE at least investigate these situations to find out if they are? Let me know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. A judge was just arrested for harboring gang members.
Federal officials arresting a recently resigned New Mexico judge and his wife for allegedly harboring a suspected Trinidad gang member.
Chandler Crater is here with the details. Hey, Chandler.
Hey, good morning. So the former judge, Joe Cano, and his wife, Nancy, each face charges of evidence tampering for allegedly harboring this man, Christian Ortega Lopez, an illegal immigrant and alleged Trinidad gang member.
How does this happen? How do you rent your apartment to this guy who's in the country illegally while you're a judge in America? This is the epitome of criminal sympathizing.
Like the couple's arrest this week, the controversy began in late February when Homeland Security investigations arrested 3 Venezuelan nationals, including Ortega Lopez, during a raid on the judge's property in New Mexico. Cano then resigned as a magistrate judge in March. Investigators claim Ortega Lopez has Tren de Aragua-related tattoos, social media posts, and clothing, and used a search warrant to discover voicemails and text messages related to alleged gang activity. Social media pictures show Ortega Lopez posing for photos with the Cano family and posing with weapons that Ortega Lopez claimed belonged to the...
Is that a Christmas tree back there? Was this a Tren de Aragua gang member Christmas party thrown by a judge? That doesn't make any sense. How on earth do you end up living with somebody without having any idea that they're part of an international criminal organization? He had to have known.
Judge's daughter. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem responding to the arrest with this, quote, under President Trump, we have arrested over 150,000 aliens, including more than 600 members of the vicious Tren de Aragua gang. If you are here illegally and break the law, we will hunt you down, arrest you, and lock you up. That's a promise. Ortega Lopez illegally entered the U.S. in 2023. He is currently facing federal charges for being an illegal alien in possession of a firearm, which is punishable by up to 15 years.
And apparently the judge gave him the firearm. Isn't it wild? According to the New York Post, this guy right here, who is the gang member in question with a tattoo on the right side of his neck, a tattoo on the left side of his neck, and possibly a tattoo on his face. How on earth does somebody get into a situation with a person like this? And what's the story here? He was just a guy they were trying to help out.
One of the most bizarre stories you ever will hear.
Very bizarre.
Totally. But, you know, this is a reminder that when you have 4 years of an administration in the Democrat Party completely embracing open borders, this is going to haunt them for years, if not decades. Because it doesn't matter, these stories are going to keep coming out. They're never going to go away. They're never going to get over it. And if Republicans are smart, they will forever
So these are people who aren't just embracing the idea of open borders. They're embracing the idea that people in this country who aren't supposed to be here aren't criminals who've done something wrong, possibly gang members. No, they're embracing the idea that these people are at the highest possible level of victimhood there is, because America is such an evil, terrible place. And here you've got people who've just got the worst deal possible from America because they're not even allowed to be in here. They're illegal as far as evil America's concerned. Which explains how this judge and his wife, who have a nice SUV in their house that has a yard and is big enough to have this little offshoot home where these gang members were living, could do this. They didn't think these guys were criminals. They were trying to make the world a better place.
This is what Democrats embraced, bringing in literally millions of illegals, many of them gangbangers, who committed crimes.
You know what the worst is, Charlie? They denied it. And then they told you they couldn't be stopped. Policy issue.
You needed new laws.
Don't believe your eyes. Don't believe the Border Patrol.
Yeah, that's it. They hear stories about how these guys are criminals, and they say, oh, no, they're not. Look, I've got my apron on. We made steaks together. We went on a hunting trip. He's using my rifle. I don't feel like I'm in danger. This is just absolutely crazy. You've got to suspend reality to think like this.
As KTSM has reported, former Doña Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano rented out his
gang signs,
casita, or a small home behind their own home, to Christian Ortega Lopez. They met when his wife hired Ortega Lopez to install glass.
So all this guy's social media is him flashing symbols and showboating about his new life in the home of a judge, where he probably thought he was going to be protected from the law, because here you've got a judge who's supposed to understand and know the law. I wonder what their private conversations were like. I wonder if this judge was telling him, hey man, I know you're a good guy. You just stay here, lay low with me. Don't worry, nothing's going to happen to you. I've got you.
His office says Ortega Lopez was seen with multiple firearms in pictures that were posted on social media. The Fed seized those firearms and arrested Ortega Lopez in February. He allegedly admitted to entering the country illegally in 2023. It's not known if the Canos knew of Ortega Lopez's alleged gang affiliation.
How could they not know? He lives in their house. They're having private conversations. But what's shocking is this isn't the only incidence of a judge in this country recently harboring criminals.
But first, a Wisconsin judge under arrest and facing charges accused of flouting federal law to help an illegal immigrant. Federal prosecutors say Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan allegedly helped that migrant avoid arrest by ICE officers at the courthouse. So let me read a little bit from the criminal complaint here. Judge Dugan says, despite having been advised of the administrative warrant for the arrest of Flores Ruiz, Judge Dugan then escorted Flores Ruiz and his counsel out of the courtroom through the jury door, which leads to a non-public area of the courthouse. A foot chase ensued. The agents pursued Flores Ruiz for the entire length of the courthouse and ultimately apprehended him. According to this complaint, Judge Dugan was visibly angry that ICE was there to arrest Flores Ruiz, even tried to kick the deportation agents out of the courthouse.
Yeah, and to set the stage for you and Sandra, this was truly horrific. This guy was in court being prosecuted by a state prosecutor for domestic violence battery. He had beat up 2 people.
Again, you've got to withhold belief in actual evidence. You've got to be on some personal, emotional crusade to go and defend these people and to be visibly upset that ICE is even there to take them down. This is crazy. Second incident in 24 hours.
They wanted to cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom with the state prosecutor. The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes. Victims in court. Judge finds out. She goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom. You're not going to believe this. Takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out of private exit and tells them.
And she did this in front of the victims who were there in court. What more proof do you need that illegal immigration and criminal sympathizing just puts the law-abiding in danger? Here we have a judge helping a criminal escape out the back door of the courthouse while the victims are right there. And the judge thinks that they're doing the right thing.
While a state prosecutor and victims of domestic violence are sitting in the courtroom.
I'm proud to be a part of this administration. We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
So when you see these judges trying to obstruct your efforts to make this country safer, what is your message to them?
We are going to prosecute you, and we are prosecuting you. I found out about this the day it happened. We could not believe, actually, that a judge really did that. We looked into the facts in great depth. That's her picture up on the screen, Hannah Dugan, who is now in custody. You cannot obstruct a criminal case, and really, shame on her. It was a domestic violence case of all cases, and she's protecting a criminal defendant over victims of crime.
You know what's happening here? You've got a judge who thinks that because they're the judge and they understand the law, that they're somehow above it. But then they look at our president, who these people obviously aren't fans of. Come on, there's no way they're acting like this if they're Trump supporters. They look at our president and they say, that guy's the criminal. That guy should be in jail. Therefore, everything he does that I disagree with, that's against the law. So now I can do what I want. In their minds, they have this belief system that these people are innocent. And you know what this is related to?
Brian, good morning. We're learning more about the Maryland man. Remember that Democrats are rallying around. Here it is. DHS sources confirming to Fox Digital that suspected MS-13 gang member Gilmore Abrego Garcia was driving an SUV belonging to a confessed human smuggler when he was pulled over in Tennessee in 2022. He was stopped for speeding.
So this is the guy that was, quote-unquote, mistakenly sent to the El Salvador mega prison. Now, he's a gang member, he was in the country illegally, and he was ordered removed from the country. So he's in the right place, yet everybody, all of these people, these judges, these activists, they're treating every gang member now as if they're just like this guy. They don't think any of them have done anything wrong, even though everything we know about these people shows that they never should have been let into America in the first place, and that they're very dangerous.
According to the trooper, he allegedly, quote, pretended to speak less English than he was capable of and attempted to put encountering officer off track by responding to questions with questions. Borrego Garcia, though, was ultimately released with a warning for driving with an expired license. It comes as a battle is waging over his deportation to El Salvador last month, with legal questions over his due process.
2 federal judges issued an order removal. He has an order removal. He is home. We removed the gang member terrorist white beater from this country because the court ordered him deported. So I keep saying this. The best that can happen for him, Sean, is he does come back to the United States. We detain him immediately, and we immediately remove him.
Meanwhile, out in New Mexico,
it's the same story. And they've actually done a great job right here by piecing these two things together. We've got judges and activists everywhere sympathizing with these gang members, treating them as if they're heroes, as if they're the ultimate victim, who America has just been the absolute worst to, and who deserves all of the liberal sympathy that is out there. They want to protect these people because they think protecting these people helps them resist Trump.
Judge Joel Cano resigned last month without explanation after a suspected Trinidad TDA gang member who had allegedly been living on the judge's property was arrested. Now, according to court documents, this guy, Christian Ortega Lopez, had been doing odd jobs for Cano's wife before being offered lodging in the couple's casita following his eviction from an El Paso apartment.
You know, and it's not even about whether or not you like Trump. These are obviously gang members. We've got the evidence that they're criminals. Somebody's got to get them out of the country, and protecting these people and trying to help them hide from the law just puts everybody in danger. This judge and his family, they don't understand who this guy is. They were putting themselves in danger by living with this person. What if this person decided, you know what? My time here's up. I need something else from these people. What if he had harmed them or accosted them in some way? They have no idea what this person's capable of because they've suspended belief about who he actually is. And it's really not that hard to see what's going on here. You've got an entire judicial system in this country where many of the members hate the president and have vowed to resist. That's why you have all of these judges stopping these deportation orders to get these gang members out of our country and get people into prisons where they belong, where they can't harm anyone else. But you've got judges standing in the way of that because they think the orders to get rid of these people are against the law. And since they think they're standing up for righteousness in their own minds, they're willing to do stuff like these judges to break the law and harbor criminals, because when they look at these people again, they don't see criminals. That's what you have to understand. You have to understand that when they look at gang members with tattoos and a criminal past, they see a victim of America, and they empathize with that person, even though they have no idea who they are or how much danger they're putting themselves and the general public in by protecting these people. They're hiding these people in their homes, they're hiding these people in courtrooms, they're giving them inside information to help them escape. It's horrible, and these judges, they should be prosecuted. They're not making the world a better place. They might be doing something that in their hearts they think is the right move. What do you think about that? Are these judges on some radical crusade? Can they be stopped? Are they going to stop the president from making the country safer? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video.
Police on the Upper East Side are looking for the burglar who broke into the Chanel store on Madison Avenue and stole thousands of dollars in merchandise. It happened just before 9:30 last night. The thief broke the front window.
So, this store behind me was recently robbed, the windows smashed, but this is the second time thieves have hit this place within the last year. And while shoplifting is a problem at pretty much every store in town, stealing from a well-secured luxury boutique isn't something your average thief can pull off. However, because our laws don't criminalize theft below $1,000 in value, petty crooks here get unlimited practice perfecting their craft. And that's why it's only a matter of time before they're ready to try and rob a place like this.
The surveillance video we just received from police shows the entire heist captured on camera. In a matter of minutes, 3 suspects made off with about $51,000 worth of stolen merchandise.
Right now, an active investigation is underway to find the 2 men who police say smashed the front window of the Chanel store just right behind me and got away with around $30,000 worth of merchandise. That window this morning all boarded up.
That's crazy. $1 million?
Police say Monday night, this man allegedly put $1.5 million of jewelry in a suitcase and tried to get away.
It's really sad, but I mean, you know, it's normal that we hear it all the time. I see all these people walking out with a bunch of jackets, sometimes even the whole trolley full of jackets.
A store robbery in Washington Heights, caught on camera, watches this man in a black coat quickly turns and sprays chemicals on the ground.
It was here, he sprayed some over here.
Customers seen walking in immediately coughing as the thieves then grabbed a pile of clothes at the display table and made their getaway. The thief doing a quick spin before flashing a gun to the employee to stop him from stopping him.
So New York's revolving door justice system is essentially a training program that creates hardened career criminals. And what nobody running New York will admit is that everyone should have seen this coming, because we're giving thieves unlimited get-out-of-jail-free cards and they're using them, as you'd expect. Turning the streets of this city into a real-life version of Grand Theft Auto, where criminals steal things over and over again with no incentive to stop. In fact, with no consequences for most theft, criminals have nothing to lose if they try to steal things and get caught. Because the worst thing that happens is they spend a few hours hanging out with the police before being set free with a misdemeanor charge. And when you add to our zero consequences legal system the rampant street vending we allow here, New York City becomes a place where there are unlimited opportunities to resell stolen property. Now, of course, street vending is also illegal without a license, but since it's also not a criminal offense, there are open-air theft markets operating all year round in some parts of town, which only disappear when the vans selling stolen property close their doors and speed away when their lookouts spot the police, who at best will issue a few tickets and confiscate goods these criminals never paid for in the first place. But there's a problem. Not every crook in town is content with robbing places like CVS and Home Depot. And that brings us to the real reason raids at luxury stores are a growing problem. We've created an army of criminals who've got practice getting away with pretty much anything. And they're now setting their sights on the wealthiest parts of New York, which include stores like Chanel and Gucci, and also gyms like Equinox, where a gang has stolen almost $100,000 from customers at exclusive members-only fitness clubs. On top of that, there's the guy who tried stealing over $1 million in jewelry.
I'm not judging. You don't have to be a witch to find the magic.
Open your eyes. Reality is but an illusion.
I will bring peace to this universe, no matter the cost.
Yep, new Trump tweet is blowing up. Donald. What's Donald saying? I just completed my 2-hour call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. I believe it went very well. Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiation towards a ceasefire and, more importantly, an end to the war. The conditions for that will be negotiated between the two parties, as it can be, because they know the details of a negotiation that nobody else would be aware of. The tone and spirit of the conversation were excellent. If it wasn't, I would say so now, rather than later. Russia wants to do large-scale trade with the United States when this catastrophic bloodbath is over, and I agree. There is tremendous opportunity for Russia to create massive amount of jobs and wealth. Its potential is unlimited. Likewise, Ukraine can be a great beneficiary on trade in the process of rebuilding its country. Negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. I have so informed President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine. Immediately after the call with President Putin, the Vatican, as represented by the Pope, has stated that it would be very interested in hosting the negotiations. Bro, are you kidding me that Trump is going to end the Russian-Ukraine war that's being oversaw by the Vatican with the first ever American Pope? This is crazy. That is insane. And the Pope of the Vatican is going to host the talks. I do think that, let's be honest, the most entertaining outcome possible would be that Donald Trump, and it would be the most cinema outcome, at least. I think that's the best way to say it, not entertaining. The most cinema outcome would be if Trump was able to negotiate a peace and a ceasefire deal inside of the Vatican that is officiated by the first ever American Pope.
Not the Grim Reaper again. Guys, we're going to need a different video.
CNN anchor threatens to cut the mic on Doge advisor. What?
Don't spend that Doge dividend quite yet. I'm Michael Smerconish in Philadelphia. Doge, they say they're about to show us the money. The Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk, is claiming to have saved taxpayers approximately $55 billion through various cost-cutting measures. They're breaking down how they claim they're doing it on the department's website.
Yeah.
For example, just yesterday, Doge published its latest cost-cutting measure. They say that it resulted in a value of up to $235 million in savings. It's also pointing out wasteful spending with posts like this, showing how taxpayers spent over $20 million on a boarded-up building over the course of 20 years. There's also a wall of receipts listing savings on the website detailing canceled contracts and terminated leases as part of the department's, they say, transparency initiative.
Yeah.
And now there's a new potential layer to these Doge savings that's gaining steam across social media to give us some of that money back.
Those are pennies, by the way? Okay, then give them to me.
It's called the Doge dividend, and it was explained in a 4-page plan that was introduced this week on X.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Breaking down how every taxpayer would get a $5,000 tax refund check funded exclusively with a portion of the total savings delivered by Doge,
There's a better chance Doge is going to give you a unicorn. Really, like it's probably not going to happen. But I mean, it's funny to think about.
As Musk's goal of $2 trillion in federal savings is met. The tweet was from an investor and CEO, James Fishback, who's been a guest at Mar-a-Lago and has ties to both Trump and former Doge official Vivek Ramaswamy. Well, the idea grabbed Elon Musk's attention, who replied he'd check with the president. It appears that he did, because one day later, President Trump expressed interest in this proposal.
Okay.
There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the Doge savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible.
So with attention comes scrutiny. With Doge, the accuracy of its reported savings being called into question. For instance, an initial claim of saving $8 billion by canceling a single Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE contract was later revised to $8 million after discovering a clerical error. And that's not all. Critics are calling Musk out for the haphazard way that he's approaching cost cutting. There's the firings, then rehirings across agencies, questions about transparency, conflicts of interest. The true dollar amount of these savings being questioned.
I don't see where the conflict of interest thing comes in. I mean, haven't they both addressed that like 7 times? I feel like that's already been defined.
The long-term impact of the overhaul. Well, who better to answer some of these questions than James Fishback, the CEO of Azoria, the originator of the Doge dividend. James, thank you for being here. How did this all come to pass?
Well, good morning, Michael. To tell you the truth, it came to me in a dream. I woke up, I called her.
All right, okay. Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man! I don't know, it seems like a pretty good dream to me.
Head of research at Azoria, we met at Capitol Grill. We fleshed this thing out in 2 hours, and I'm honored that the president has endorsed it. This is a real plan to send the savings that Doge generates over the next couple of years right back into the pockets of hardworking Americans all across this country. They deserve it. It was their money in the first place, and they need a break.
Okay, I'm all for ridding the government of waste, fraud, and abuse. But at some level, isn't it all illusory? In other words, if there's a quote-unquote savings made by Elon Musk and Doge, we're still $36 trillion in debt. So there's...
Captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
So, let me get this straight. The logic is that because we already have a bunch of debt, we might as well just keep spending money? Like, I don't understand this at all. And also, if this was illusory, then why did we give out COVID stimulus checks? We already have a principle for this. There's a precedent for this. It happened like 3 years ago. What do you mean?
There's no pie to cut up. There's no slice of the pizza that I can hand back to you unless we continue to borrow those funds.
Our plan's really simple. Over the next couple of years,
They
Doge
already
will
forgot?
save a
You think they
set
forgot
amount
about
of
the
money.
COVID stimulus?
We're going to take 20% of that and put it right back in the hands of taxpayers. The other 80, as President Trump has pointed out, will go back to paying down the debt and narrowing the deficit. Here's the truth, Michael. For every $5 that Doge saves, as we believe calculated by the Congressional Budget Office, when this whole project is said and done next summer, for every $5, $1 goes back to the pockets of American taxpayers. Here's why.
Jesus, bro. Like, this guy got a default resting face like a Starfield NPC. This is not. What's it? Damn, bro.
Assistance, please.
They sent their money to D.C. to be spent in America, not to be abused, not to be disrespected, and not to be defrauded. That $20 million to Iraqi Sesame Street, that money sent for a transgender opera in Colombia, all at the same time, Michael, that we have roads and bridges crumbling. We're losing 900 Americans every day.
I don't even care about the money. I care about where the money went. I bet that opera probably wasn't even that good. I want a detailed balance sheet of that opera. I want to know who was in charge of it, and I think they should get audited. Let's get their tax returns. Let's go ahead and do an audit of their finances. That's what I want to see happen. That's where I'm at. Because I don't even think they're getting their transgender opera. They're spending all this fucking money, they don't even get it. Or if they do, it sucks.
Depths of despair, alcoholism, and suicide. 8 out of 10 black American fourth graders are not even reading at grade level. This is pathetic. 10 black American day to depths of despair, alcoholism, and suicide. 8 out of 10 black American fourth graders are not even reading at grade level. This is pathetic.
What the
Americans sent their money to be spent in America. They were defrauded. They were lied to. They now deserve restitution. And the second point that President Trump, just one sec, Michael. The second point that President Trump brought up on Air Force One is that these Doge dividends will incentivize Americans to report waste, fraud, and abuse in their own community. Why? Why? Because the more that Doge saves, the bigger their Doge dividend check will be. Remember, in economics, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. We're giving every American.
I'm going to get to the economics. Come
Go
on,
ahead.
I gave you a chance for a great sound bite. You got and those soft power exercises make for great sound bites. But when you drill down,
it's not having a transgender opera isn't soft power.
In a world consumed by darkness,
It's just retarded.
I will gladly be the light.
Like, what is that? What are we thinking? Like, really? It's crazy. What are you talking
for
about?
example, on Sesame Street in Iraq, they often make sense. Joseph Nye from Harvard, who gets credited with the coinage of the word soft power. You know, you'd rather spend on that than bullets. But wait, you want to talk about
there was a
economics?
terrorist attack in Iraq last month that killed 40 people. It's clearly not working.
Yeah, if so, I mean, is the solution, so if the soft power, so basically, if the logic is that this soft power reduces the probability of having bad things happen, then how many Sesame Street plays do you think that we should have? Because, like, obviously one isn't enough. Because if we're still having terrorist attacks over there, they're not working. So maybe 5, 7, 12, maybe once a week. How many is it going to take to make these bombs stop exploding? There has to be the math on this, right? Why should we care about terrorist attacks in Iraq at all? That's a great question. Yeah, I don't think it's the U.S. taxpayers' responsibility to care about terrorist attacks that are in Iraq. Great point.
Okay,
power
so
and Sesame
maybe-
Street are not
so
working.
maybe-
If there are terrorists, we need to kill the terrorists. We don't need to fund Big Bird
Listen
and
to me.
Elmo.
Maybe the terrorist would have been better off watching Big Bird than learning in a madrasa.
Just in time. Thanks.
So he's saying we need more Sesame Street plays in Iraq. What is it? Like, I don't understand. Like, you see the video. Like, how is this possible? How, like, is there any thinking to this at all? This is amazing. There's no answer. I don't even understand this at all. Depends if the government divides the nose, otherwise you don't need to care. Well, this is my mindset, is that why the fuck are we in Iraq at all? Now, I'm speaking as an American, so I can't understand Iraqi culture. But what I can understand is that if I had another nation that is trying to forcefully push its agenda in my country, that would annoy me, and I wouldn't like that. So when I hear this, I bet there's a lot of guys in Iraq that are like, what the fuck are they doing trying to come over here and tell us how to live? You already bombed us, you destabilized our fucking country, you killed our leader, and you think we had nukes. We didn't have any nukes, by the way. Everything's fucked up now, and now you want us to look at Sesame Street and tell us that we're right? You're gonna Big Bird us out of being mad about the weapons of mass destruction debacle? I don't fucking think that's gonna happen. Really, you think about it.
Bless the cheating nuts.
It's insane. Big Bird is the solution to terrorism. Well, I don't know about Big Bird, but I know One Piece certainly isn't.
Let me make my point. Put on the screen from the Peterson Foundation. This is where the rubber meets the road. We are $36 trillion in debt. I don't know if you can see that, but that's 106,121 for every single person in America. So if Elon Musk is successful in saving us money from waste, fraud, and abuse, and by the way, James, I hope that he
This is a complete cosmetic number. We're never going to pay down this debt. It's never going to happen. It's a complete made-up number. It's $36 trillion. That's not even real. Like, all these are bullshit, theoretical numbers. Like, what is this? It's not made up? Yeah, absolutely it is. Debt to who? Who's the debt to?
I'll patch you up.
Who's that? It's all made up money.
Glory's almost yours.
It's not
I
all
don't
the
like
China.
the approach, but I like the fact that something's being done. There is no money in the till. We owe $36 trillion. We owe $106,000 each. So whatever the savings ought to be, it's not like President Trump's doing us a favor by giving us 20%. Everything ought to go to the debt because the Peterson people
That's
say.
a fair argument. If he wants to use this argument and say that the Doge dividend is silly and it should be put entirely towards paying down the debt, like, I wouldn't agree with that because I think that the debt is just a cosmetic number that will never change. Like, this entire, you're never going to pay down $36 trillion. It's just never going to happen. Like, I'm sorry, it will never happen. It's not real. It's never going to go that far. It's just never going to happen. So anyway, that being said, inflation. Yeah, with inflation, everything like that, it's just never going to happen. That being said, I think the money should probably just be reallocated